to another edition of Coaches Weekly. My name is Alan Mateo. Once again, joined by Headsman's volleyball coach, Coach Greg Manos. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again.
Of course, and you guys were able to play your first match of the season last Thursday here at home against Illinois Wesleyan. And despite the outcome, it was a pretty competitive game, and it was pretty closely matched throughout, especially the first three sets, and we'll touch on the third set here pretty soon. But you had some solid performances throughout, but one thing that was notable was you guys did struggle a little bit on the attack errors. Illinois Wesleyan had half of what you guys had throughout the game. And it didn't really seem like you guys really were flowing offensively at certain points. Do you think that was just a sort of just first game jitters, or just something that was because of how Illinois Wesleyan was staying with you guys throughout the match?
Yeah, we had to stay aggressive on offense, and I think that's part of it, right, is making sure we're not being too safe where they were scoring in bunches as well. They had a good offensive system going. So at times, errors are part of it. They were sacrificing their errors from the service line a little bit more versus our errors were more from the attacking side. So it's part of the game, and quite frankly, through the first three sets, we were pretty happy with our offensive outcome. Just when it gets to that 20-20 mark, we have to make sure that we kind of turn that channel on and be a little bit smarter, a little bit more specific in terms of what we're trying to do as far as our offensive shot selection or decision making. A majority of those unforced errors were after that marathon of a third set. So when you count that in the fourth set, it's not to discredit it, but we're okay with where our offense started, and we're pretty optimistic about where we're going.
No, of course. And to speak on that third set, you see how long that went for. That was 45 minutes of a set. And second most points in NCAA Division III history with 86, just trailing two behind the first leader in terms of that. When you see that happening, and you as a coach, is there really anything that you can really do at that point in terms of offensive scheming, planning, defense, or is it just kind of you just go with the flow and see how that goes?
Well, we were happy to see our guys persevere, right? When the final score is 44-42, which I'd never been part of anything over, quite frankly, 30.
Yeah.
But just seeing their perseverance, their grit. The other team had set point, I believe it was 17 times. So for us to have our backs against the wall consistently, we were both sides were out of subs, so we weren't in a position to make changes. So it was just about grit, perseverance, and just being able to close things out. I know they were gassed. I know they were tired because, again, both teams used both timeouts as well. So we were very encouraged, especially for a week one matchup where they were able to push through, right? It wasn't in the perfect form or shape, but at the same time, we know if we can win sets 44-42, that if we sharpen things up just a little bit, we'll be able to push as the season goes on. And that's something you have to have, and that's something you have to earn and grow as a group. So rather than fold, it was neat to see them really hustle, work through it. And again, winning 44-42 is a little bit sweeter than maybe a 25-23 situation.
No, it was awesome to see. I mean, you guys really came together throughout that third set and just competed.
Yeah.
That's one thing that from last year as well that you guys kind of carried over into last week's match was just being able to stay within games, be able to stay within the set, not be able to give up on yourselves. And that's just a testament to your guys' growth from last season carrying on over to this year. And that also carried over to several of your performances that you had on the court. Eli Mosher won NAC Offensive Player of the Week this past week, set a single-season program record for most assists in a match with 55 and without any errors as well. And I also want to touch on Wyatt Enzenberger, who was one of your freshmen that came in this year. And I don't know if you remember me asking you last semester, just how did you even get this kid here? 6'10", being able to just provide that kind of length, versatility up in front of the net. And you could clearly see with Wesleyan during the match that they had to adjust their attacking to be able to get it over him.
Yeah.
And so just what kind of advantage and versatility is he able to bring just within your sets defensively and also offensively to this team this year?
Just across the fall, it was really neat to see all of our freshmen show tremendous growth, and I think Wyatt in particular was able to grasp just our offensive system defensively, how we go about things, and like you mentioned, from a matchup perspective and a fit perspective, he's a big favorite of everyone on the team, right? So as someone who matches the school persona in terms of his personality, his priorities, right? He's someone who's interested in being a history teacher, which he's going to be awesome at, but especially here, being such a big educational base and background, we were really excited to just not only get to know him, but let him be part of our recruiting process and find his way home here. But then from an in-match perspective, right, your first game as a freshman, I know, can be a lot. Just with the first game, jitters, a lot of weight on your shoulders, and especially to start against a quality opponent. But you know what? The guy persevered. He stuck with it, and offensively, he really showed up and showed out. Defensively, contributed in a lot of positive ways. But when you're hitting a lot of kills, no errors, and hitting over 700 in a match, that's a big impact. That's not a little impact. And it wasn't in a couple, random sets or random kills that were kind of here and there. Like, he was a big functioning part of what we were doing short term, and I'm excited to see as he continues to grow long term.
No, of course, and it's gonna be fun to keep on watching. Just everybody else, be able to keep contributing on that. And within that, you guys also end up going to North Central tonight to play the 20th ranked team in the country at 7 p.m. And this is another good test for you guys. Obviously Illinois Wesleyan was a really, really strong opponent for y'all, but this is also another really good test. And now you're on the road as well.
Right.
So was this something that you kind of wanted to do on purpose in terms of scheduling, be able to test your guys early to see not just obviously what they have, but just kind of see what just kind of how they are mentally, resiliency, just being able to match up with them, because this is a team a few years ago that went to the national championship, were one game away from winning it all. And so you probably still have a few players from that team that are here now. And so what kind of experience do you feel like this is going to be able to bring some of your younger guys this year when you guys go over there playing tonight?
Yeah, if you talk about the growth and maturity of this unit since I've been fortunate to join this team, right? That's been a neat part where we were really young for a couple of years. So now that we have that experience, that exposure, we wanted to test ourselves out with teams that are in that top 30 realistically. So our entire preseason is teams that are ranked higher in the sense of just national placement and whatnot, but also we wanted to challenge ourselves before we get to a tough conference year, because our conference this season, they had 3 teams already ranked in the top 25, and the one that's not in there, quite frankly, is going to be. It's just when. Yeah. So understanding that we want to be able to test ourselves, find our strengths, and be able to leverage them, and also recognize that success is going to mean different things. We feel that we can battle and go head-to-head with these quality teams. I think that showed last week, and we just want to make sure we're continuing to grow. So as a program, it's really exciting to get to the point where we can have a preseason where we can stack it, where we can challenge ourselves against quality opponents in different ways, home, away, different factors, so that we can just make sure we're bringing our best. From a national ranking perspective, right, they've changed some of the ways they go about it. So it actually benefits us more to challenge ourselves more. And that's why you'll see in our preseason schedule, we're playing teams that have found success against us, and we're playing teams that are really highly ranked. And it's going to be tough in terms of just all the moving pieces, but we know that that's going to best prepare us for a tough conference season, and we're in a position now, maybe better than ever, to take that on short term as far as just going head-to-head, but also knowing as the time goes on, we're a program that's positioned ourselves to be in that top quartile, to be in that top third, where we can go into these matches and be squared up with them, if not find success at the end score here.
Yeah, of course. And that's just a testament to you guys in terms of the talent that you guys have right now, and just the ability to go out and compete the way you guys have. And so I'm excited to see what you guys end up doing tonight. And for more information on that, you can go to CUCougars.com. Our Cougars play tonight at 7 p.m. at North Central. My name is Al Mateo, joined by Coach Greg Manos. And as always,
I'm Dr. Russell Dawn, President of Concordia University Chicago. Thank you for tuning in to today's Cougar Athletics broadcast. We take great pride in the strength of both our athletic and academic programs, which are rooted in our steadfast commitment to Jesus Christ. Dedicated to the liberal arts as a foundation of a high-quality college degree, we believe education should form individuals for service to their neighbors. This makes Concordia Chicago an exciting and fulfilling place to study, work, learn, and grow. Learn more today by visiting cuchicago.edu. Thank you, and go Cougars!
Nation, and welcome to Geisman Gymnasium here for some Saturday volleyball. It's the Cougars hosting the visiting Augustana Vikings for another non-con matchup in that NAC CCIW rivalry that takes place over the non-conference season between a lot of these schools. Third straight CCIW school that Concordia will be going up against. And the Cougars, not an ideal start to the year, 2 losses straight. They're 0-2 right now. Augustana 0-1 with a loss to a NAC team in Dominican last time out. I'm Jonathan Shearer, the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me today is Dave Dimeling. And Dave, going into another non-con matchup, these are 2 teams with some high hopes going into the season. What are you looking to get out of here for Concordia?
Yeah, absolutely. You take a look at Concordia right now, obviously dealing with a couple struggles on the roster side, some injuries, but we'll get to that in a minute. Main thing for CUC, the hopes for today, obviously, get that first win of the season, get it on the home turf, get some momentum going for the season, and hopefully it can make you feel a little bit comfortable before you get into that important part of the season, the NAC play.
Absolutely. This is a Concordia team with very high hopes for this season, returning almost the entirety of the roster from last year and bringing in some big players as freshmen. One of those players, though, is Wyatt Ainsenberger-Shea, and he's going to be out today. The 6'10" freshman won't be playing today, as is Alexander Ford. Both of them not likely to play today, and those are some big losses for the Cougars.
Absolutely, Jonathan. One of the tough parts, too, is they're both very headline players playing in the middle. Those are just 2 of their biggest players for CUC, not only in the stat category, but also in the height department. They're, as you mentioned, Wyatt Ainsenberger-Shea standing at 6'10". That's a big piece to miss in the middle. So with the smaller roster that CUC has constructed for the season, look to see potentially some moving parts to decide who's going to be filling that space in the middle with some of these players out for a little bit of time.
Yeah, one of those names we'll likely see Leon Godzowski's first action of the year this year. Hasn't seen the court in the first 2 games of the season. He'll likely be out there. He's out there warming up today. He's been a big part of the Cougars last year. Looking at Augustana, though, this is the kind of game where if you're going to be missing your tallest player, this is it. The Vikings, they're not that tall of a team either. They're the tallest player over on Augustana's side, standing at 6'5". A couple of guys there, similarly to the Cougars. So this is a pretty even matchup at that department. So it should be an even matchup at the line. But you look over at Augustana, Dave, and this is a team that is facing some turnover. Their top 2 players, including the NAC Defensive Player of the Year, Max Sellers, both gone. Both of them 5th-year seniors last year. So this is an Augustana team that's going to be looking for some ways to fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a huge test for them. They're trying to refill that huge hole when you lose a 5th-year setter that's just a huge piece of the program. It's going to be naturally very difficult to replace. But what they're going to be doing is they're going to be looking at Colin Schaefer to try and be that guy to see if he can make those adjustments, get his offense going in the right direction.
Yeah, and this is a very tough CCIW that Augustana is going to be trying to figure that roster out before they get there. Obviously, the Cougars have experienced that 2 straight losses to CCIW teams, including the number 20 team nationally, North Central, who isn't even projected to be in the top 2 in the CCIW this year. You've got Loras, you've got Carthage. This is a strong conference that Augustana is going to be playing in, and they really want to use these non-con games to figure out who are they going to get out on the court, who can take those important minutes. For the Cougars, we kind of talked about this non-conference season is, again, figuring out that roster. But it's kind of interesting because this is such a team with a lot of continuity. You've seen names out there, Marcin Hoffman, J.R. Sella. They've been playing massive roles on this team for years. Tyler Hollebeck back for another year with the Cougars. He's been playing a big role on this team for a long time. But it's more so figuring how can we optimize it? How can we take this from a team that's fighting for best of the rest in the NAC, where the Cougars were last year, to actually cracking through into that top 4?
Yeah, absolutely. No matter what, it's always good to make the tournament, but it's more than that at the end of the day. You want that chance at a bid to join the NCAA tournament. It's been a little bit of time since the Cougars men's team has been in that kind of road, so we'll see if they can kind of find themselves in that, but obviously we're way farther away from that. They got to focus on today. They got to focus on these Vikings right now.
Yep, big matchup coming up against Augustana here on the Cougar Sports Network. I'm Jonathan Shear. Joining me today will be Dave Daimling. And we'll be back in just a minute on the Cougar Sports Network for the start of today's matchup between the Cougars and the Vikings. Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium as we get ready to go for today's matchup between the Cougars and the visiting Augustana Vikings. Vikings coming into River Forest, sitting at 0-1, ready for their second match of the year. They're coming off of a 3-0 sweep against Dominican University, so they're taking on the two schools of River Forest, looking to come out 1-1 of that series. The Cougars coming into today 0-2, coming off of a close road loss at number 20 North Central earlier this week. Cougars looking to bounce back and pick up their first win of the season at home. And one of the bigger points to start off this game, Alex Ford will be playing. He is dressed and active today, so a big win for Concordia as one of their taller players on the front line will be active in a matchup that is pretty even at the line. As we get ready to go, Liberos head out onto the courts. Van Gato starting at the lib for the Cougars, and then Colin Alvers over on the Viking side in the blue and gold. Augustana wearing the white with blue numbers today. The Cougars wearing the white with maroon and yellow stripes. And it'll be the Vikings serving up first, and headed back to serve is Alexander Selesky. Selesky third on the team in kills in their match against Dominican earlier this week. And Selesky sends it up, gets things going. Mosher has to chase it down. Gato just got to hit it across, and the Cougars keep it alive. That'll get set up for Tom Lamb. A big spike for the first kill of the day for the Vikings.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one right there for the Cougars, just having to send over a free ball, just really kind of sealing your fate just a little bit when you got a swing like that from Tom Lamb off.
And there's an errant reception again. Tyrese Armstrong, a rough start to his day. Back-to-back poor receptions off the serve. And it's a 2-0 lead for Augustana. Selesky sends it over. Armstrong, good reception. Mosher sets up Stella. That's tipped. Kept in the air. And blocked down at the line by the Cougars. First big block of the day, first point of the day for Concordia. Bryce Lawson, who was blocked. That'll be set up for Lamb, and he finds no man land. Able to take advantage of J.R. Stella on the back line. Stella, you'll really only see him playing back line whenever he's serving. And Augie pouncing on that for their third point of the day. Now back to serve is Cole Clark. And that's well below the net, into the net. First service error of the day for either team. Cougars back within one. And Leon Godzowski, seeing his first action of the season, heads back to serve. And that is well over the back of the net. First serve of the season, first service error of the season for Godzowski. Bit too much on it.
I think that'll be an important thing as we go along throughout the day today, is keeping those service errors to a minimum for both sides. I think that's kind of one of those big issues that are easily controllable, so we'll see how both teams handle that.
Oh, sure. Sets that for Armstrong, a beautiful floater to drop it in no man's land, pick up his first kill today. Third point for the Cougars. And yeah, you go back to that first match of the year for the Cougars against Illinois Wesleyan, and that huge record-setting third set. A lot of service errors in that set for both teams. Part of the reason that set went as long as it did, as that ball out of bounds, they'll call it tipped by the Cougars. Tough break for Concordia. Back to a 2-point lead for Augie. Back to serve is Lamb. Sends it across. Mosher. Dump off. Goes to ground. Beautiful kill for the setter. And Eli Mosher, he has had a great start to his season, picking up the NAC Defensive Player of the Week award for week number 1 and setting the Concordia school record for most assists in a match, 55 against Illinois Wesleyan in the opener.
Yeah, Mosher's one of those players that is just such an important piece to their success overall. The most decorated setter in program history, not just on those single game stats, but you look at overall, he's just a huge piece. CUC's able to pick up a point right there.
Yeah, Ryan Huntington trying to get tricky with the floater. He was a bit early on the jump. J.R. Stella having none of it and sending it straight back down on the other side. We're seeing some big performances from the Cougars front line so far. Armstrong sends it over, and it's down! An ace for Tyrese Armstrong. Can't get further than that, right on the line. Armstrong looking to go 2 for 2. Cougars, their first lead of the day at 6-5. That one received and down. Huntington splits the block, finds ground, and it's back at 6-6.
Yeah, Huntington kind of received that serve very well, and it just set him up perfectly. Very fluid. You can expect to see a lot from him today.
Hollabeck receives Mosher, sets for Stella. It's behind him, but he's able to go back for it and find the corner going coast to coast. Good kill for the junior. And J.R. Stella, he's been a key part of this team, even back to his freshman year with that incredibly small roster for the Cougars all the way back then. He's stayed an important part as Greg Manos has built this program back up, and he's emerged as the offensive leader for Concordia this season. Hollabeck's shot blocked, keeps it up. Mosher, he'll set for Stella now, blocked. Kept up by Mosher. Armstrong, long set for Hollabeck. Kept up, beautiful defense from Augie. Mosher set for Gudzovsky. No one able to keep it up off the block. And that'll go back over to the Vikings.
Yeah, beautiful rally right there on both sides. Just really able to keep it going. But at the end of the day, the Vikings are able to scoop that one and knot things back up at 7.
Back for the serve is Huntington. Huntington starting to emerge as one of those offensive leaders for the Vikings this season. Hollabeck receives Mosher, setting for Stella. Blocked down on the other side. Clark lost track of it, and he's not able to keep it up. Strong hit for J.R. Stella. His second kill of the day. Mosher sends it over. Long reception, and the Vikings can't get the playoff. Almost a miraculous save on the set from Schaefer.
Yeah, really good effort by Schaefer right there. That's a difficult one to get there, especially when you're matched up with Gudzovsky at the other side.
Schaefer sprinting to set it for Clark, who just slaps that across. Armstrong keeps it up. Gato passing up for Stella. Tipped up, kept up by Alvers. Schaefer setting for Lawson. Gato keeps it up. It's up in the ceiling. Armstrong passing up for Stella, who's just going to slap it across. Schaefer setting Lawson again. Blocked. No one can keep it up. Hollabeck lost track of it. And again, both of these teams playing some fantastic defense to start the day.
Absolutely. I mean, so far through these first 17 points, the battle has mostly been decided in the trenches of the net.
Armstrong passing for Mosher. Just a long play, and it looks like they caught the Vikings napping. Leon Gudzovsky, a big swipe for his first kill of the day.
Yeah, Mosher kind of took a little peek on the other side of the net, saw it wide open in the middle, and gave Gudzovsky an opportunity to swing right there. Knew it was uncontested.
It's a little bit of an off-pace set, and the Vikings get caught flat-footed. Cougars almost able to keep it up. They're going to tag a lift on Gudzovsky, a double touch, they'll say. Gudzovsky doesn't like it. Back to a 1-point lead for the Cougars, and back to serve for the second time today is Cole Clark. Clark sent it into the net last time. This time he gets it over. Mosher passing over to Armstrong. All the way across. Alvers to Schaefer, setting up Clark. And there's way too much on that one into the student section. Cougars get the serve back. Gudzovsky back for the serve. Schaefer setting Lawson. Heat on it. Straight into the corner official. You got to say, Dave, something that is sticking out this year compared to the last couple years, the Cougars bench is getting a lot more into the play than in the years past.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're realizing that the difference it can make on the impact of the game as well.
An awkward hit. Cougars keep it alive. Mosher setting Armstrong. Schaefer, long set for Lawson. Kept up by Mosher. Armstrong setting up Hollebeck. And a nice block at the line for Tom Lamb. Senior, one of the bedrocks of that front line for the Vikings in 2025. Putting on a good performance so far today. Lawson sends it over. An errant reception for Michael Cardenas. And it's down to a 1-point lead, an ace for Bryce Lawson, looking to go 2 in a row. And he sends it into the net. Service ace to service error, and it's going to head back over to the Cougars. Onto the court for the first time today is Ben Georgia, the junior out of Antioch. Hollebeck sends it across. Awkward reception. Schaefer tracks it down. Georgia just has to send it across. Gato to Mosher. Sets up Hollebeck on the run. And it's just long. Beautiful opportunity. And they can't convert.
Yeah, I mean, that looked so pretty from start to finish on the Cougars side right there. Mosher setting up Hollebeck, just unable to keep that inside the lines.
Armstrong receives. Mosher setting for Armstrong. Over the block and down. Tyrese Armstrong, after a rough start, has really been playing well.
Absolutely. It starts with that serve receive mainly, and then he gets rewarded with it coming right back to him. Takes a really good swing on it.
And it's Armstrong with the serve. Georgia receives. Schaefer tracking down. Alvarez will send it up. That's tipped at the line by the Cougars block. And Armstrong wasn't expecting the change in trajectory. That'll get down. So back for the serve is Colin Schaefer. Schaefer gets it over. Hollebeck receives. It's a long reception. Cougars do keep it up. Gato passing up for Stella from mid-range. Alvarez, a long reception. Schaefer able to get it to Huntington. Mosher sets for Hollebeck in the mid-range. Clark, Schaefer, Selesky, blocked back over. Now they'll go to Clark on the shot. Gato receives. Mosher, long set for Stella. It's a floater for the point. J.R. Stella, his third of the day.
Yeah, it's a big play by Stella right there. Stella very clearly known, when you look at the scouting report, he's known to be a big swinger. He wants to release all the power on every opportunity he gets, but using his head a little bit there instead of the muscle, and that's what gets him the point.
And that's one of the biggest parts of his game that he's really developed in the last couple years is Alexander Ford's serve is called just over the line. Heads back over to the Vikings. Huntington back for the serve. Hollebeck receives. Mosher setting for Stella. Tipped up, kept up by Schaefer. Clark trying to go for the middle. Good dig by Armstrong. Hollebeck, floater! Just over the block, perfectly placed. Beautiful touch from the grad.
Yeah, that makes it's starting to add up just a little bit right now for how many times the Vikings have gotten burned on those floaters.
Schaefer setting Clark. Blocked! Straight back down. Stella and Gudzovsky. And there's our first timeout of the day. Coach Ducey wants to try and recover with his team. They trail by 3 as we head into the break. We'll be back on the Cougar Sports Network in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. Set one, Cougars leading 17-14. And Mosher's back for the serve. Alvarez receives Schaefer, setting for Selesky. Can't keep it up. Mosher, little bit of an errant reception. And the Vikings get the point out of the timeout. Now Selesky off the net. Mosher setting for Hollabeck. Floater again! The Cougars abusing the floater so far, and it keeps on working.
Yeah, and it's not just the floater. When you look at Hollabeck, it's that tunnel of making it look like it's going to be one of those high-effort swings, and that's making it so difficult.
Stella off the net. Schaefer sends it over. And the Vikings, they'll tag Schaefer with a net violation. And the Cougars pick up the point. 19-15, the 4-point lead, the largest of the day for either team. Stella back to serve, tosses up, sends it over. Schaefer setting for Lawson, and that'll get down out of bounds off the Cougar block. Stops the bleeding a little bit, gets it back to a 3-point deficit. Cole Clark back for the serve. Clark gets it over. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting Gudzovsky. A lot of sauce on it. And they're not going to say it's tipped. That'll go to the Vikings. Clark into the net. Second service error of the day for the sophomore.
Yeah, and that one's going to hurt just a little bit more right there. CUC able to win that race to 20. Now just chasing 5 more to take this first set.
It's Gudzovsky with the serve. He gets it over. Schaefer, long set for Lawson! Big time block for Alex Ford. And Coach Ducey is going to take another timeout. He wants to reset with his team on the sideline. They trail by 4, and the Cougars only have 4 to go for the set win. You look out there, Dave, right now. The Cougars, they've seemed to start heating up as this set's going on. What's going right for Concordia right now?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but it really is the attacking overall, the way they're kind of able to confuse that defense up front, that front line of trying to decide whether or not it's going to be those full swings or some of those floats. And then on the other side, they're really dominant on defense, winning at the net. Those front four, the men at the front blocking are just kind of causing all sorts of havoc on the Vikings right now.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it. This is a pretty, evenly matched team height-wise. You look in the roster, 6'5", 6'5", same height. The Cougars, though, they have that constant rotation of 6'5" right up on the net. J.R. Stella, Alex Ford. I mean, who else do you have up there? Tyler Hollabeck. You get Leon Gudzovsky. If you're neither of them 6'5", there's more that 6'3" range, but they're able to get that verticality to get on the net. So there's really no break in the Cougars' rotation where the Vikings have a gap on the front line. The Cougars are constantly able to play strong defense on the front line, and that has worked out very well for Concordia.
Absolutely, and then when you have a rather physical setter with Eli Mosher, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty if he needs to on one of those misplayed opportunities by the Vikings.
Gudzovsky gets it over. Schaefer setting middle for Huntington. Miscommunication. Schaefer has to tap it. Mosher setting for Ford. A floater. Pancaked by Alvarez. Kept up. And Lawson just chucks it for the Vikings point. Awkward attack for Augie, but it works out. And Lawson will head back for the serve.
Yeah, I got to tip your cap right there to Alvarez on that one. Just a ridiculous play right there by their libero.
And they'll sub Lawson out on the serve. Send in Ben Georgia for it to take it. Georgia Able to get it over. Armstrong to Mosher, setting Hollaback. Finds the open corner for the kill. And right now, the Cougars, are able to respond to every point that Augie's taken back.
Yeah, Jonathan, right now it just looks pretty effortless right now for the Cougars when they're getting their points. It's not super hard earned, and I think that's kind of the struggle right now for Augustana is they're really having to earn a lot of these points.
Another one for Hollaback. That one's off the block. He plays the angle well. And it's a 5-point lead for Concordia, their largest of the day, and they're 2 away from the set. Gets it over. Schaefer tracks it down. Huntington from mid-range. Tipped. Cardenas keeps it in. Mosher setting Armstrong. It's blocked. It's kept up by Clark. Schaefer passes it over. Mosher keeps it up. Ford got a hand on it. It's tipped at the line. Point Cougars. The Vikings. Oh, and it wasn't tipped at the line. They're going to tag the Vikings with a reach over the net. Augustana arguing the call. Schaefer having a discussion with the tower judge. And now Ducey hearing the relayed message from his players as he talks with the scoring table. The scoring table judge wanted to talk about it. Tower judge says, no, we're going to resume play. And the Cougars are going to win it on an error. Armstrong tied up at the net with Lamb, and they'll say Lamb goes into the net. So after a strong first set for Concordia, a bit of an awkward set. End to the set for Augustana, back-to-back errors. As these two teams switch sides, Lamb will have a discussion with the tower judge, try and figure out what they were doing wrong at the end of the set, and they'll then get a break. We'll take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network for set number 2 between the Cougars and the Vikings. First time this year the Cougars have picked up a win in set number 1. And they lead 1-0 going into set number 2. A strong first set for the Cougars. But you look over at the Vikings side, Dave. What was Augustana struggling to do in the first set that they need to pick up to take set number 2 here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take a look at the offensive side overall. Just some struggles right there. They just really weren't able to force the Cougars to get a little change of tempo. At the end of the day, it was kind of CUC kind of controlling the tempo for most of that first set. Augustana was mostly just read and react to it, and when you're playing on your heels like that, you're bound to get burned on it.
J.R. Stella back to serve things up for the Cougars. Alvarez receives. Schaefer sets that up. Stella receives. Mosher keeps it up, and they're going to tag a double hit on Mosher. Mosher does not like it. He is confident that it just went off his elbow. The tower judge, she does not like talking with the players today. She sends Mosher away now. And now back for the serve is Huntington. And it's into the net, a service error for Huntington, and we're back tied at 1. Gudzovsky now back to serve for the Cougs. Gets it up, gets it over. Clark to Schaefer, sets Clark. And he finds Pater on the back row, just out of the reach of Gudzovsky.
Yeah, just kind of a well-placed ball right there. Nothing too crazy as far as intensity or power there. Just placing it where they're not.
And after that first set, that's really what this Augustana team needs to focus on. The Cougars strongly winning the battle at the front line in set number 1. There, the Vikings win it, but the Cougars are able to keep it up and get it over. Schaefer setting up Selesky, and that's down out of bounds off of Armstrong. Point for the Vikings. 2-point lead, it's 3-1. Back for the serve is Weber. Tommy Weber gets it over. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting forward. Blocked straight down by Lamb. And the Vikings coming out firing. They're already up 4-1.
Yeah, Vikings making some very solid adjustments in that 3-minute break, it looks like so far. Ready for a lot of those tricks. And there's another ace right there for the Vikings.
Tommy Weber perfectly placed in the back corner. 4-point lead, 5-1 Vikings. Weber into the net, so that rally ends with an error. Good run for Tommy Weber. Heads back over to the Cougars at a 3-point deficit. Tyler Hollebeck serving it over. Schaefer setting Clark. And he gets it down. Gato can't dig it out. I mean, you mentioned it coming into it. Augustana hadn't been able to drive the pace. They've been driving it so far. They haven't allowed the Cougars to get to those deep rallies where they've been successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mosher setting up Armstrong. Blocked. Kept up by Cardenas, but it's out of bounds. 5-point lead for Augie.
Yeah, Augustana looks to have all the momentum right now and feels very comfortable right now.
Selesky, too much on it. That's a service error. All 3 of the Cougars' points so far in this set coming from Augustana service errors.
Yeah, Augustana kind of shooting themselves in the foot just a little bit right in that moment where they feel like they're truly going to start pulling away. They reel themselves back in and put themselves back.
Yeah, and the Cougars, they haven't been able to take advantage of those errors yet today, or at least in this set.
Yeah, Augustana already with just as many service errors as they had the entire first set.
Armstrong gets it over. Errant reception. Mosher setting up Stella. It's off the net, and it goes over to the Cougars. Tipped at the line by Lamb. That is an aggressive angle taken by Stella, and it works out. Armstrong will serve it over again. Dug out by Nguyen. Gato receives, Mosher keeps it up. Gato just has to slap it over. Alvers to Schaefer. Lamb gets it over. Hollabeck pushes it back. Hollabeck to Mosher. They'll set for Stella. Floater kept up by Hollabeck. And they tag. A violation on the Vikings. Looks like Cole Clark went into the net as he shakes his head. And there's those long rallies that the Cougars were successful on in set number 1. They come out on top again.
Absolutely. I think kind of what we're seeing is Cougars are just a little bit more patient than the Vikings, and when you take a look at the Vikings getting a little overly aggressive, and that's kind of when they make those mistakes like being in the net, for example, and you start to see those a lot more on those long rallies.
Yeah. Armstrong sends it too long, so first service error of the set for the Cougs. Moa sends it over. Mosher setting for Stella off the block. Back over. Ford blocks it back over to that other side. Stella keeps it up, but it goes out of bounds. Front line battle, and the Vikings come out on top. Yavamo, the 5'3" junior out of Shoreview, Minnesota, sends it over again. Hollabeck receives. Errant reception, and the Cougars can't keep it up. It's back to a 5-point lead for Augustana. 3-point run for the Vikings. Mua sends it long. Armstrong receives. Mosher for Ford. Looked like he punched it over, and it works out.
Yeah, it looked like, almost like a first down celebration, just pointing it with 2 fingers, but it's good enough for the point.
Yeah, and Ford wasn't expecting the set to be there. Neither was Augie, and it works out for the Cougs. Now Ford with the serve. A lot of sauce on it. That's going to get received straight back to Alex Ford. You don't see that often. Stella with the shot. Kept up. Schaefer setting for Huntington. Tipped and down. So the Vikings come out on top of it. That serve from Ford, a lot of sauce on it. And the reception almost went out of bounds on the Cougars side of the court. Back to a 5-point lead for the Vikings. Lamb with the serve. Gato to Mosher. Setting up somebody in the middle of the court. Hollabeck just has to send it over. Blocked at the line. Schaefer takes it. Armstrong keeps it up. Mosher to Stella. Looking for the back line. Mua's there. Now set up Huntington. It's tipped. Armstrong keeps it alive. Mosher to Hollabeck on the run. Blocked. Kept up by the Cougars. Lamb to Schaefer. Sets Huntington. That'll get down. Out of bounds. Not tipped. And it goes to the Cougars.
Just another one of those long runs. Cougars are able to scoop that one.
Yeah, and that is a tough loss for the Vikings. You can see them still reeling a little bit, pushing the pace that entire rally. And it's just one mistake that gives it to the Cougs. Now Huntington on the run, buried by Hollabeck. And Huntington looking to just push the pace and get the point back after the last set doesn't go fancy around the block. Now Mosher sends it over again. Schaefer setting for Huntington. Back-to-back blocks for Hollabeck. And the Cougar bench loves that. Mosher serving with a 2-point deficit. They're going to Huntington again. It's blocked again, kept up by Hollabeck. Now Stella on the far side. Tipped at the line, kept up by Alvers. Huntington sends it over. Armstrong to Mosher. This time to Hollabeck. He's blocked. Front line battle going on the near side. Hollabeck and Huntington.
Yeah, both benches starting to get into it just a little bit more. That's kind of what you like to see. Tension's getting a little higher. The emotions start going, and that's when you get good college athletics.
Godzowski's blocked. He keeps it up. Stella punches it across. Alvers, long pass. Selesky, a lot of sauce on it, and it's tipped. Heads back over to the Vikings. Schaefer will serve it over again. He's got a 4-point lead. It's 13-9. Armstrong receives Mosher, setting for Gudzovsky. A beautiful play for the Cougar point. You can just tell this Cougars team, they are much more in sync this year with those offensive plays, the timing on point.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Manis has done a good job polishing up that offensive side. You're kind of seeing it, especially in those longer runs, because they're just able to hold out for so much longer.
Huntington from mid-range. Mosher keeps it up. Gato setting for Armstrong. Trying to find the empty space. Selesky's there. Now Selesky will send it over. Armstrong passing to Mosher. Quick set to Gudzovsky. Tipped at the line. Kept up. Selesky's got to slap it over. Blocked down. Schaefer for Meyer, and he finds pay dirt on the back row. Coach Manos is arguing that Augie went over the net again, the center judge, not wanting to talk to anybody. Huntington back for the serve. Mosher setting for Armstrong. He's blocked by Selesky. Back to a 5-point lead for the Vikings. And Manos wants a timeout. Cougars' first timeout of the day. They trail by 5. It's 15-10 Vikings as we head to the break. We'll be back in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network as Huntington serves it over. Mosher setting for Hollaback. A lot of sauce that gets to the back row. And the Cougars get the point of the timeout, just what they're looking for. Four-point lead for the Vikings as the Cougars look to claw it back. Gudzovsky back for the serve. He gets it over. He'll set that up for Meyer, blocked by Ford, kept up. Clark off the tip. Cardenas to Mosher, setting up Hollaback. Floater, kept up by Alvers. That'll be Selesky on the far side. He'll take a floater, sent straight back over. Alvers to Schaefer, back to Huntington. Mosher can't receive cleanly. Another point for the Vikings. As now Tommy Weber will head back to serve. Tommy Weber didn't see the court in the first set. He has played a big role in Augie's success in the second set. Cardenas to Gato, just has to hit it over. Schaefer sets it up for Lamb. He's got the straightaways lane to the Cougar court. 6-point lead for Augie, their largest of the day.
Yeah, and a lot of these offensive points right here for the Vikings, it's kind of just been wide open free swings for the taking, and they're not missing them.
Armstrong into the bleachers, keeping it alive. Schaefer setting up Lamb on the run. He punches it, doesn't get down. Armstrong with a dump off, kept up by Lamb. And now they'll send it over to the Cougars. A double touch on Tom Lamb. Took a while for that call to get through. And the Cougars take the point back. They'll set that for Clark, and Hollebeck sends it into the bleachers. And you look at those hitting percentages, and it really has just been the Vikings offense winning the game in this second set. Cougars hitting at 091, the Vikings at 276, a large margin there. Mosher to Hollebeck, can't get down. Schaefer setting up Clark. And Clark trying to play the block, just gets too much curve on it. He sends it straight out of bounds. Tyler Nguyen back into the game, the freshman from Des Moines. Tyrese Armstrong. 5-point deficit for the Cougs. He sends it into the net. That's low and wide. And it'll head back over to the Vikings. Late substitutions, they send in Gavin Mua. Mua had a successful run at the service line his last time in the game. He's looking to run it out for the Vikings. They lead by 6, 19-13. They're 6 away from the set. Mosher setting forward, he's blocked. And Eli Mosher takes a big swing with just a little too much on it. He goes into the net.
Yeah, and that's going to be a pretty costly one for the Cougars to lose, as now the lead enlarges to 7. Just 5 more to go for the Vikings to knot things up in the sets department 1-1.
Armstrong receives. Mosher setting Stella, and J.R. Stella finally getting involved again. He finds pay dirt on the near side. He's been quiet in set number 2. The Cougars would love to get him involved for a comeback. Ford with the serve. Received by Nguyen. They'll set it for Huntington. It's tipped. And it goes to the Vikings. The Cougars not happy about the call. And again, the center official not taking any time to allow for discussion, signaling for the serve immediately. Dave, when's the last time you've seen a service error like that?
It's been quite a while there, Jonathan.
I don't think I've seen that at this level, at least like that. It looked like, Huntington just, was it Lamb?
Maybe it was Scout's honor from the last one. They knew that they didn't get a tip, giving Cougars back the point.
Point goes the Cougars' way.
Trying to find his way into that CCIW Respect Award category, you know.
And we figure out what the parameters for that Respect Award are. Another service error for Schaefer.
J.R. Stella ready to send it away, try and get these Cougars back into the second set.
And back-to-back service error. Stella sends that one into his own guys. And the Cougars in a 7-point hole. Augie just 2 away from the set. Huntington with the serve. Sends it over. How about another service error? These two teams trading points. 6-point lead, 6-point deficit. Cougars got a lot of space to go to claw this one back. Godzowski with the serve. He gets it over, it's an ace! Alvers and Huntington miscommunicate. And they knock it down. Godzowski with the serve. Huntington receives. Schaefer setting Selesky, and he sends it into the net. Too much on top of it. And Coach Ducey wants the timeout. His team's lead down to 4 as the Cougars go on a little bit of a run. They're making it a set in the dying stages. So, the CCIW Respect Award. At the conclusion of every sports season, each varsity program recognizes one student athlete as a Respect Award honoree. These recipients have distinguished themselves as an integral member of the team, their institution, and community by upholding the values of responsibility, enthusiasm, service, pride, excellence, collaboration, and trust. The Respect Award recognizes the intangible traits a student athlete possesses that exemplify great character and encourages inclusiveness and positive culture. Over on Augie's end for that last year, the men's volleyball Respect Award winner, no longer with the team this year. As we try and remember who that was, we do know that it was one of their grad students last year. It was Garrett McNellis, who's now moved on from his time with Augustana. So they'll have a new Respect Award this year over for the Vikings. That's one of the great parts of the CCIW. Four-point deficit for the Cougars. Godzowski back to serve. He gets it over. Huntington to Schaefer, setting Clark. And it's off the block and out of bounds. Cole Clark's been playing those blocks perfectly this set, and it's set point for the Vikings, and Tommy Weber will head back for the serve.
Backs against the wall right here for the Cougars. Going to have to go on quite a run.
Gato, long reception, now do it. Selesky gets the free swipe. And the Vikings take set number 2, 25-19. 6-point loss for the Cougars. We're knotted up at 1 set apiece as we head to set number 3. We'll be back in a minute on the Cougar Sports Network. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. We're all knotted up one set apiece. Augie winning their first set of the year in their second game of the year. Last set, 25-19 win over the Cougars. And it'll be the Cougars who will be serving things up to start set number 3. And actually looks like it'll be the Vikings as these teams finally get spread out. Yep, it'll be Colin Schaefer back for the serve as well. Schaefer gets it over. Mosher setting Stella straight to the back row. Clark keeps it up. Zaleski on the near side going for Mosher. Gato passing up for Stella from mid-range. Alvers, here's Huntington. Floater kept up by Hollebeck. Mosher setting up Stella, third time. Not the charm. Schaefer going for Clark on the run. Out of bounds, point Cougars. Too much angle on it for Cole Clark. J.R. Stella with the serve. Tosses it up, sends it over. Clark receives. Schaefer setting up Zaleski, who sends it into the net. Point Cougars.
Yeah, lucky break right there for the Cougars. I think Zaleski had a pretty open lane to swing right there. Probably would have gotten a kill.
Stella with a 2-0 lead, sends it over. Clark to Schaefer, setting up Zaleski again. At time, it's kept up by Mosher. Gato looking for Hollebeck on the run. Kept up. Gudzovsky for Hollebeck again, blocked down for the Vikings. Don't get the block the first time, they get it the second time. Back for the serve is Huntington. He gets it over. Gato receives. Mosher setting up Kamenar on the run. Now Gudzovsky kept up by Weber. Clark on the far side sends it across. Gato to Mosher setting up Hollebeck with the sets long. Error for the Cougars, ties it back up at 2 as Huntington will continue to serve.
Cougars making a setting change right there with bringing in Grayson Arnn for Eli Mosher. We'll see if that can shake things up.
Gudzovsky blocked at the net. The Cougars managing to keep it alive. Cardenas, a long pass, still kept up, but they're going to tag the Cougs for going into the net. Back-to-back errors for Concordia. The Vikings with a 1-point lead now. Huntington sends it across. Gato receives. Set up for Hollebeck. And it's blocked out of bounds. Point Cougars. It's the freshman Grayson Arnn out of Beloit, Wisconsin with the assist on that one.
Yeah, one of the very few new players, new additions to this Cougar team, but already making his impact.
Tied up at 3. Gudzovsky sends it over. Schaefer setting up for Zaleski. It's tipped out of bounds. Vikings back with a 1-point lead. Clark back into the game. Back to serve is Tommy Weber. Weber, he gets it across and out of bounds. Cardenas ducks under it. And a good take. Back tied up at 4. Hollebeck with the serve. Now gets set up for Zaleski. Gato digs it out. Arnn setting up Kamenar. Schaefer looking for Clark. And Cardenas can't keep it up. Back to a 1-point lead for the Vikings. Zaleski back to serve. Kamenar receives a flick from Arn, but it goes out of bounds. Trying to get tricky with it, doesn't get the angle right, and Eli Mosher will head back into the game. Well-earned rest for the senior, back in action. Way too much on that one, and Staluski just whiffs on the swing. Now Kamenar will head back for his first service opportunity of the day. Kamenar gets it over. Nguyen to Schaefer to Clark. Brings the hot sauce, and it's into the Cougars bench.
Yeah, definitely a lot of juice on that one.
Kamenar gets it across again. A dump off from Schaefer, and he's into the net. Cougars able to keep it up, doesn't matter, as the error sends the point to the Cougars, and they're back in front 7-6. Tristan Kamenar now will toss it up, sends it into the net. Repays the error with the service error. As now Gavin Mua will come back into the game. Mua has been successful from the service line today. He's been at the back of a couple of runs for this Augie team in set number 2. Kamenar receives Mosher, setting up Stella. Brings the hammer. Schaefer looking for Huntington. And that'll get down. Augie back up by 1. Mua heads back to continue his serve. Up. Over. Kamenar to Mosher, setting Ford, who just has to float it. The set's out in front. Another point for Augie. 2-point lead for the Vikings. Mua. Received by Kamenar. Mosher. This time going for Stella. And Stella tries to slam it down, but it's out of bounds. And Coach Manos getting up to coach his team. He's a little frustrated. 4-0 run for the Vikings. They lead 10-7, first to double digits. Mua off the net, kept up by Kamenar, kept up by Mosher. Ford has to send it across. Huntington on the run, and he gets too aggressive. The Vikings seeing red, and they send it out of bounds, point Cougars.
Yeah, Cougars very fortunate to pick up that point right there after kind of a little bit of chaos on their own side. Couple bodies hit the floor, and somehow, some way, they get the point.
Ford with the serve. Schaefer setting Lamb. Hollabeck keeps it up. Mosher setting Stella. Has to go back for it. Schaefer long set to Huntington. Long shot kept up by Kamenar. Mosher to Hollabeck from mid-range. On his head. Takes down Colin Alvers. Back within 1. Strong point for the Cougs. Ford tosses it up, sends it over. Schaefer setting for Lamb on the run, blocked by Stella. J.R. Stella brings it back down, and they're tied at 10.
Yeah, Cougars all over the slide right there, not getting fooled by that one, as that's another one that Cougars also have in their playbook when needed.
Ford slams that for an ace. Mua can't get it cleanly, and it's into the scorers table. Jim Egan takes the pass, and Alexander Ford will head back to continue the serve. 4-0 run in response for the Cougars. And he sends it into the net. 4-0 run ends with a service error. It's 11-11. Now Tom Lamb will serve. Up, over and out. 2 wide. Cougars back up by 1, and now Eli Mosher will have the serve. over. Received by Nguyen. Huntington with a shot. Gato passing for Hollaback, a tapper over. Alvers passing up for Huntington. Mosher, Gato setting Hollaback. Blocked! Tommy Weber knocks it down, and we're tied at 12.
Yeah, the Vikings kind of taking Mosher out of that play entirely right there, forcing him to take that first touch. And with that, you're going to naturally have the libero kind of squeezing into that setter role on that second touch, and it's just not quite the same.
Hollaback receives. Mosher setting up Kamenar on the run. Selesky, he's blocked, but it goes out of bounds. Vikings, they get that lead back 13-12. Hafer sends it over. Mosher setting Hollaback. Blocked. Still up. Hollaback beats Selesky at the line. Selesky with a shot to the back row, and it's down. Two-point lead for Augie. They go on a three-point run. Schaefer gets it over. Gato, awkward reception. Mosher keeps it over to Hollaback, but it's wide left again. And Coach Manos is going to be forced to call a timeout. His team trails by 3 as they slide. A 4-0 run for Augie. They'll take a break on the court. We'll take a break here at the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. 3-point lead for Augie coming out of the Cougar timeout. They're on a 4-0 run. They're going to look to keep it going as Colin Schaefer will take the serve. Mosher setting for Stella. Straight into Schaefer, and that'll work out of the timeout. J.R. Stella, his 7th of the day. They'll head back to serve. Up, over. Schaefer setting Weber. Mosher keeps it up. Gato tracks it down. Hollaback running in, and that does get down. They'll call it in. Augie, not a huge fan of the call. Cougars down by 1. Stella, a lot of sauce on that one. Schaefer's able to track down the reception. Mosher to Gato. High pass for Hollaback, who has to pass it over. Schaefer setting Selesky. Kamenar. Mosher tracks it down. Kamenar kept up by Gudzovsky. Now it'll be Mosher looking for Kamenar again. Off the block and out! Tristan Kamenar, a big play. And we're back tied at 15. Exactly what Greg Manos ordered out of the timeout.
Yeah, Kamenar only standing at 6 foot, but with that vertical he's got going, it's no issue at all jumping amongst those blockers.
Selesky on the far side's blocked, but it goes out of bounds. That's kind of been a shift we've seen from the first set. The Cougars, they're still getting a strong challenge up at the line, but the Vikings have started to play that angle more, so those blocks are starting to go out of bounds instead of down inside the boundaries, and it's working out well for Augie.
Absolutely. Instead of treating them like the enemy, you're starting to treat them like a tool in the tool bag. That's what's kind of giving them more points.
Kamenar brings the sauce again. It heads out of bounds. 2-point lead for the Vikings. 17-15. Cardenas with the reception. Mosher for Hollaback. Blocked. Kept up by Cardenas. Mosher. Hollaback again. A floater. Rejected by Clark. Cougars on the back foot that whole play. And the Vikings press the advantage to a 3-point lead. Huntington gets it over. Good reception from Cardenas. Mosher keeps it up. Godzowski has to just pass it back over. Schaefer setting up Saluski, and that's tapped out of bounds. Augie just pushing the advantage from the serve, and Coach Manos is going to want his second time out. His team sliding again. They trail by 4, the largest deficit of the set. Now you look out there, Dave. What has changed in the back half of this set that's allowed the Vikings to push the advantage?
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings, Augustana just looks so comfortable and so confident the whole time. And on the other side of the net, you take a look at it, CUC, it's kind of just, we kind of mentioned it during one of the breaks, it's just a little bit of lack of aggressiveness, lack of just confidence overall. And I think right now that's kind of what's leaking into that headspace for them is just, that's what's making it kind of difficult for them to kind of rally and kind of keep going when you're having those kind of issues. So I think that's kind of making it a little tough on them, and that's what the Vikings are kind of taking advantage of right now.
Yeah, and Concordia, you go back to that first set the Cougars did so well in. One of the things that you talked about, David, is huge for Concordia. That says that they were patient through the long plays, and right now the Cougars look to just be in those long sets, just starting to hit it again and again and try and beat down the front wall, which is not what they were doing in that first set. You're trying to be a bit patient, just get it over, work the blocks, take those soft hits sometimes. And it looks like the Cougars are starting to go a bit more to just try and beat down on Augustana, and the Vikings are responding well. Huntington, he's on a 4-0 run at the line right now, looking to make it 5. Kamenar receives. Mosher setting Godzowski, and that'll get down. Leon Godzowski, his 3rd kill of the day. And the Cougars again get the point out of the timeout.
Yeah, you needed that one to kind of keep you in the contest. Last thing you wanted was it stretching out to 5.
Godzowski will serve. Up. Over off the net. Pancaked by Alvers. Clark from mid-range. Mosher setting up Kamenar. Alvers has set up Clark. Mid-range again. Blocked. Cardenas slaps it up. Kamenar able to get it over. Alvers to Schaefer. They'll go to Weber. Misses the swing. Mosher sets forward. Misses the hit. Schaefer going for Clark. Blocked. Alvers. He'll go to Clark. Blocked again! Tough point for the Cougs. Tyler Hollaback gets the block.
Yeah, beautiful rally on both sides. Unfortunately for the Vikings, Clark just getting a little too excited right there, going for it all, and that's how they lose the point.
Yeah, and earlier in that set, some impressive defense from Michael Cardenas to keep the point alive. The shortest player on the roster for the Cougs, putting in some work. But Tyler Hollaback, the most experienced player on the roster for the Cougs, putting in some work of his own. The Cougars are with 1-1. They forced the first time out of the set for Augie and Coach Mike Ducey. They'll take a break on the court. We'll take a break here at the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. 1 point lead for the Vikings. Gudzowski continuing the serve. Clark, awkward reception. He'll get the shot, kept up by Cardenas, kept up by Gudzowski. Cardenas has to pass it over. Alvarez to Schaefer. He'll set Weber on the run. Good save from Mosher. Cardenas passing up for Hollaback. The sauce, but it's out of bounds. The Cougars adamant that it was tipped. Coach Manos coming over to tell his guys to calm down. Mosher and Hollaback are furious. Weber sends it over. Mosher setting Kamenar. Kept up by the elbow of Schaefer, but it'll get down in the bleachers.
Yeah, tough to tell if that one would have went out of bounds or if Schaefer was forced to play it.
Creative play with the elbow, though, to keep it alive. 1 point deficit again. Now Hollaback with the serve. He's able to get it over. Schaefer setting up Lamb. Blocked back over. Now it's Zaleski, and he finds pay dirt. Back to a 2 point lead. It's 21-19. Cougars got to claw back a few consecutive points. Alexander Zaleski tosses it up, sends it straight into the net. A big break for the Cougars, but now they've got to convert. Tristan Kamenar will have the serve. Kamenar, solid in his first run at the line earlier. Schaefer setting Clark, kept up by Gato. Mosher setting Stella. Clark passing to Schaefer, setting up Clark. It'll go to Kamenar. Mosher, he wants Stella again. Blocked, out of bounds! Stella with the kill. We're tied up at 21. A great judgment there from the bench and Van Gato as they communicate on letting that one fall.
Absolutely. What looked like a tough start to the set has blossomed into an opportunity for the Cougars. Now it's all tied up at 21.
Gato passing up for Stella. Takes the jump, trying to go coast to coast. Huntington gets it. Schaefer, long set for Clark. He's blocked. It's thrown over by Lamb.
Yeah, heads up play right there, just taking a look to see what the other side looks like. Instead of using all three hits, just burning it right now and take the point.
Back to a 1 point lead for Augie. Gavin Mua back for the serve. He's been very effective there today. Mosher, a dump off. Pancaked, capped up. Fantastic defense. Stella with a shot. That's a kill. J.R. Stella, coast to coast with a missile.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see all the hope for Augustana on that point right there, and then Stella just stomps right on it and finishes the point before it can really get going.
Alex Ford with the serve. It's off the net. Schaefer setting up Huntington. Blocked over, kept up by Lamb. Schaefer! A good dump off. We were starting to get a little frustrated with those plays. Lamb with the serve. Kamenar receives. Mosher setting Gudzowski. Kept up by Weber. Augustana just panicking to keep it alive. Huntington, it's blocked, kept up by Schaefer. Mua slaps it over, and Mua goes into the net. It's a point for the Cougs. Actually, it looks like a double touch tagged on someone over at Augustana. That's a signal.
Yeah, I believe it was Weber in that desperation right there. You could tell he was ready to kind of throw those palms up, a little bit of argue, and then realized I'm clearly in the wrong here, and he let out a little chuckle.
Huntington, sauce kept up by the Cougars. Stella stomps it down. And Coach Ducey wants the timeout. The Cougars on a heater, and they're 1 point away from taking set three. And again, we were kind of talking about during that one break, Dave. It was that patience and defense for the Cougars that had seemed to kind of slip away. They've really brought that back in the last few points.
Absolutely, Jonathan, and it's all come on the benefit of J.R. Stella really making those big swings when it matters most. that's kind of that rock that they rely on so much on offense. And you're kind of seeing it right now in those last handful of points. He's really been there, and the consistency is what's kind of helping the Cougs so much right now.
The whole dynamic of the team shifting whenever J.R. Stella gets rotated back in on the front line. And he is having a fantastic day. 10 kills on 29 attempts, just 1 error for the junior, and 3 blocks to go on top of that. Great day at the line for J.R. Stella. As the Vikings head back out onto the court, Cougars, they have the serve, and they're 1 point away from taking the set. The Vikings got to win this point to at least force extra volleyball. And it'll be Mosher with the serve. Nguyen receives, Schaefer to Huntington. Gato receives, Stella, a backhand! But it's kept up, and now Huntington to Gato. Long reception, Alvers gets there. Schaefer to Huntington again. Mosher, Gato, Hollaback. Kept up by Nguyen. Mua looking for Huntington. He pushes it over, there's Kaminar. Mosher, he'll set up Stella. And that is kept up by Mua. Huntington, tipped, kept up by Gato. Kaminar pushes it over, and they're going to give it a double touch on Kaminar. Miscommunication, Kaminar didn't need to take it. And the Vikings get the error.
You hate to see such a great run right there come to a judgment call, but we'll see how the rest carries away.
Kaminar, awkward reception. Gato passing for Mosher. He just has to pass it across. Alvers to Schaefer. He sets up Weber. It's kept up. There's Stella, a punch. Kept up by Selesky. Schaefer, he wants Huntington. It's tipped up. Kaminar has it. Mosher tracks it down. He'll set up. Hollaback, awkward at the line. And they're going to say Hollaback's in the net. And here come the Boo Birds. The Cougars frustrated. Back-to-back calls from the officials. And now it's suddenly set point for the Vikings. Kaminar to Mosher. Sets up Stella, has to go back for it. And that's the set. The Vikings come back and take set number 3. A tough loss for the Cougars with some tough calls. And Augustana takes set number 3, 26-24. We'll take a break on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network for set number 4. Augustana storming back to a 2-1 set lead. The Cougars. Tough end to set 3. Some tough calls coming from the tower. And they'll look to bounce back in set number 4.
Yeah, this kind of swing set right here. Have to find a way to win it. You win it, you tie it up, in 4th set. Very important 5th set. Otherwise, Augustana's finding themselves on the bus going back to Rock Island as the victors. So important set right here for the Cougars.
And the Cougars, they haven't won a game yet this year, but you look at their first 2 games, they've been good in those must-win sets. Down 2-0 to start both of their last games. They win set 3, including that record-setting set number 3, 44-42 win against Illinois Wesleyan. Got to get it done. They got it done. We'll see if they can do it again here in set number 4 in an elimination set. For reception, J.R. Stella pounces.
They're coming out the gates firing right there. Clearly frustrated about how that 3rd set went. Ready to make a change right now.
Mosher gets it over. Schaefer setting up Selesky. Blocked! J.R. Stella, he's loving set number 4 so far. And we got some new faces on the court for both of these teams over on Augustana's end. Ryan Johnson seeing his first action for the Cougars. Marcin Hoffman out for the first time today. Schaefer, he'll set up for Johnson. Mosher and Kamenar whiff on the back end. And that's Johnson's first kill today. Johnson. Smart dribbles to warm up. Freshman out of San Diego. A rocket across the net. Mosher sets up Stella. Kept in by Johnson. Clark, a floater. And a nice play by the sophomore. That's Cole Clark's 7th of the day. With 7 errors, he's hitting at a perfect 0. Johnson, a rocket. Gato digs it out. Mosher setting Hoffman. And Hoffman tries to float it, and he just doesn't get enough on it. 3 in a row for Augustana. And it honestly just does feel like the difference for the Cougars offense right now is whether or not J.R. Stella is getting involved with the play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the challenging parts when that's kind of the determining factor in success and failure is then the other opposing teams able to kind of look at that, reevaluate, make an adjustment, and key in on number 17 for the Cougars. And that's kind of what is going to be killing them down the road if they're not able to find answers on the offensive side.
Marcin Hoffman now serving across. A poor reception for Cole Clark. J.R. Stella wants it again. He goes over and celebrates with Marcin Hoffman. Big point for the 2 of them. You go back to that 2nd year of the Manos era, lose a massive senior class. You have just 9 players on the roster. And 2 of the biggest players that year were your 2 standout freshman hitters, Marcin Hoffman and J.R. Stella. The 2 of them, they've been through the whole ride in their 3 years in Concordia. And now they're both playing a part of a team that's hoping to contend. Hoffman, he's led the Cougars on a 3-0 run. He sends it into the net to end that. Augustana back within 4-1.
Yeah, I think important thing to note as well with that connection between Stella and Hoffman is they went to the same school, same high school in William Fremd, so they've been playing together for a long time.
Mosher setting for Kamenar. He keeps it in on the run. Selesky on the far side, a floater. And it was the Cougars in set 1. It's the Vikings in set 4, abusing the soft touch. 5-5, Weber back for the serve. Kamenar receives, Mosher tracks it down. It'll be Stella. And just an awkward angle sends it out of bounds. Weber sends it across. Hoffman receives. Mosher setting up Stella. He'll take a floater. He'll get batted around. Johnson pushes it over. Mosher setting Godzowski. Quick hitter. Schaefer to Clark. Mosher setting Godzowski, another quick hitter. Weber, long ball for Selesky, kept up. Gato setting for Stella. A rocket! Knocked out of bounds by Weber, point Cougars. Kill number 13 for Stella. Godzowski gets it across. Johnson, awkward reception. Schaefer, he's going for Clark. One-handed attack. Godzowski can't receive cleanly. It heads back over to the other side. – 7-6 lead for Augustana. And it's a service error for Selesky. Sends it out the back end. And we're tied up at 7. Alvarez receives. Schaefer setting for Clark on the run. Gato receives, that'll go over the net. Kept up by the Cougars. Kamenar passes it over. Schaefer setting Lamb on the slide. That'll get down off the block. Kamenar and Ford get up there.
Yeah, beautiful defense across the board for the Cougars on that one. Gato had a tough reception right there and kind of gave the Vikings an opportunity, but teammates were able to back him up, and that's kind of what won that point right there.
Stella now serving. Clark finds a gap on the far corner. Tied back at 8. Neither team giving an inch in an elimination set 4. Clark now serving. Hoffman receives. Awkward reception. Ford can't keep it over. The reception just a bit long. And Mosher went over and got it before the Vikings could get it. Ford couldn't get an angle to send it over. 2-point lead. 1-point lead for the Vikings, 9-8. Clark going on a bit of a run, and it'll all end there. He sends it into the net. The service errors, they have really been killing Augie today. 16th of the day so far, doubling up the Cougars who only have 8.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that you kind of notice frequently with the Cougars is they're very comfortable at the line overall, pretty limited on those service errors as you get an ace right there from Michael Cardenas.
And the corner official threw the flag up that it was out of bounds initially. The tower judge overruling him immediately. He immediately changes the call. And he's still over there shaking his head a little bit. Do think that it was in bounds, was the right call. Schaefer setting for Johnson! Rejected at the line by Ford and Mosher. 2-point lead for the Cougs. Now Cardenas back to serve. Tosses up, sends it over and out. Ooh! The corner judge gonna call it in. Coach Ducey just nodding his head, telling his team to go along with it. That's gotta be a millimeter on the line. Can't get any more out of bounds than that. Cardenas gets caught off guard by the bench and sends it into the net. Now Lamb with the serve. Way too much on it. Out of bounds. We're trading service errors in Geisman right now as Alex Ford heads back to serve.
Yeah, it's one of those spots right there where if you're Augustana, you just kind of want to find a way to get back into it after the Cougars going on a 4-0 run.
Johnson, oh, way too much sauce on it. Nearly sent that one to the back wall.
He got under that one just a bit right there. Getting that launch angle swing going for right around that spring corner for baseball season, but we're not there yet, so got to be keeping it down right now.
And then Alex Ford puts a bit too much on the serve, sends it out the back line. Back into the game is Bryce Lawson. He has not really seen much action since early in set 2. Schaefer with the serve. Cardenas receives. Long reception. Mosher. He just slams it right down. Lawson wasn't expecting it. And a heads-up play from the senior.
Naturally, the ball will find you.
And Coach Ducey is going to take his first time out of the set. Cougars lead by 4. We'll be back in a minute on the Cougar Sports Network. Back on the Cougar Sports Network. Eli Mosher serves it across. Schaefer setting Selesky, and Mosher sends that right up by us. Strong shot for Alex Selesky. Gavin Mua coming back into the game for the serve. And yeah, Mua, he's been very successful at the service line.
Absolutely.
Gato receives Mosher, setting up Stella. Alvarez receives straight back over. Hoffman trying to get tricky with it. Selesky on the right side, kept up by Sellet, straight back over. Weber to Schaefer, he wants Clark. And he finds the corner. Cougars had an opportunity, got a little too fancy with it, and the Vikings take advantage. Mua tosses it up from a 2-point deficit. Hoffman to Mosher, setting up Stella again. Blocked straight back down by Selesky. Mua's serve, that's into the Cougars bench. Too much on it, too much air under it. So the Cougars will take advantage of the service error. They'll get the point. They have a 2-point lead back, and Hoffman will head back to serve. Up and over, Clark to Schaefer. He's going for Selesky. Stella bats it up for Kamenar. Spinning jump. Schaefer to Clark. Finds the corner again. Cole Clark loving the far corner. Up to 11 kills on the day. Weber Gets it across. Gato receives. Mosher chases it down. He's going for Kaminar. Mua passing for Clark. Looking for the corner. Hoffman's there this time. Mosher setting for Stella on the right side. Kept up by Mua. Now Clark on the near side. Tipped and down. No one watching the far side for the Cougs, and we're tied up at 16.
Yeah, Clark's been so good today at just using those blockers to his advantage, kind of shaping it however he wants.
Weber gets it over. Gato, poor reception, and Lamb pounces all over it. The Vikings back up by 1. And Greg Manos, he wants the timeout. He's going to take his first timeout of the set as his team's now down by 1 in a must-win set number 4. Dave, looking over at Augie in this set, out of that last timeout, what have they started doing differently and allowed them to go on a run?
Yeah, I think the communication overall is pretty smooth for Augustana right now, and the men up front are kind of taking care of business right now. We kind of mentioned a little bit with Clark just doing what he did. Obviously, he had some struggles earlier on with the airs overall, but up to 12 kills right now, tied for the lead on for the Vikings so far today, and they're on a 3-0 run right now when they come out of this timeout. So I'm curious to see if Concordia can kind of halt that run that they got going right now, or if this could be the end of the night for the Cougars.
Coach Manos got to get his team back on track as they're sliding right now in a must-win set 4. You'd love to pick up that first win of the season, just knock that, get that mountain out of the way, especially when you're going through that tough CCIW schedule that the Cougars are playing their way through right now. Back to serve is Tommy Weber. He's got a 1-point lead behind him. Gato receives. Mosher setting up. Stella has to reach back for it. Schaefer going for Selesky. Hoffman keeps it up. Mosher setting for Kaminar. A floater kept up and over. Schaefer slides. His feet go across the line. Trying to argue the call won't get it in their way, and we're tied back up at 17. Guzovsky now to serve. Up, over. Clark to Schaefer, going for Lamb. And it's out of bounds off the block. Blockers just going up late, and Lamb's able to throw it down on their heads. 1-point lead as Selesky heads back for the serve. Up, over. Kaminar receives. Mosher setting Kaminar. Alvers keeps it up. Schaefer long set for Clark. And Clark, too much on that one. He sends it into the Augie section of the bleachers. We're tied back up at 18. We haven't mentioned it yet today on air. For being a team from Rock Island all the way on the Iowa border, this is a strong contingent for the Viking fan base today.
Absolutely.
Stella drills it to Mua. Schaefer setting for Clark. And Clark just started the run up late, wasn't able to get much on it, and it is sent straight back where it came from by Stella. Cougars up by 1, 19-18. Stella continuing to serve. Up. Over. Schaefer setting for Clark. And Clark, too much on it to the right again. Clark, he loves to go coast to coast. He's starting to get a bit too much angle on it and send it out the side instead of sending it to the back corner. And now Coach Ducey wants the timeout. His team trailing by 2. Cougars 5 points away from set number 4. We'll be back on the Cougar Sports Network in just a minute. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network. Cougars leading by 2, 20-18 in what is a must-win set number 4 for Concordia. J.R. Stella at the back of a 3-0 run for the Cougars right now. Tosses it up, sends it across. Mua, poor reception, it's straight back over. Ford to Mosher to Ford, a floater. Schaefer going for Lamb, that's out of bounds. We're waiting for the call. The near judge going to talk to the center judge. The argument, was it tipped by a Cougar? Was it tipped by the net? Looked to me like it was the net. Didn't look like there was a Cougar nearby to touch it. And they're going to call a redo. Both coaches are upset. The near scoring table judge talking to Coach Jimenez. As soon as he's done, he's going to have to go talk to Coach Ducey.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing worse than a tie. If we wanted ties, we'd be playing soccer right now.
It was a very long explanation. So players on the court get a little bit of a break. Tom Lamb wants to know what's going on. Manos frustrated as he heads back over to the bench. Now Coach Ducey will get the explanation of the call. As a very confident in just calling that a tie-up. It looks to me like the center judge and the sideline and the scoring table judge just both had something else that they saw, and neither one of them wanted to compromise on it. Now the center judge getting frustrated with how long the coaches are talking, and she's going to resume play either way. And Coach Ducey still frustrated. Stella sends it over. Nguyen to Schaefer, to Clark. Gato keeps it up. Mosher setting for Stella on the run. And it's behind it. It'll head out of bounds. Tom Lamb now getting talked to by the center judge.
I believe Tom Lamb had some kind of waving gesture. I'm not sure if it was issued towards someone on the other side of the net or towards the crowd or the official, but that's all up for his interpretation, I suppose.
Yeah. Didn't look like it was intended for the center judge. Wouldn't make sense if it was, but I mean, I don't know why you're waving bye-bye to the official if you're upset with the call, but center judge not having any of it. Cougars back up by 2 after the service error. Alex Ford, how about that for a heads-up slam? Turn it 90 degrees to the outside.
That's a big one right there. 3-point lead and 3 to go.
Cardenas back to serve. Up. Over. Schaefer, short set. Now Hoffman on the near side, going for the back row, kept up by Nguyen. Lawson from mid-range, kept in by Cardenas. Stella from mid-range, going for the back corner. That's off the ceiling. Schaefer's able to get there. Lawson shoves it over. Stella, Mosher, Ford, floater, down! Alex Ford! He is finding his touch.
No better time for Ford to be getting hot than just at the end of set 4 with hopes of set 5 on the way.
Cougars only 2 points away from taking set 4 now. Cardenas sends it into the net. A costly error late in the set. The Cougars, if there's anything they've struggled with this year, it's closing out at the end of sets. Lamb gets it over. Gato receives. Mosher setting for Hoffman. They'll go to Lawson. Off the ceiling from Gato. Stella can't get it back over. And Coach Manos wants the timeout. His team's given up 2 in a row. 2 away, 2 to go. And this is becoming a very close 4th set. Both of these teams not willing to give an inch in the late bits. What do the Cougars need to do, Dave, for just 2 more points to close this one out?
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to stick with what they've been doing so far that's gotten them here, and maybe cross your fingers and hope for a little luck on the other side that Augustana is able to make another mistake or two, as they've kind of had some struggles down the stretch before they got tight back into this, whether it was the attacking mistakes or service errors. Coach Manos could just buy a service error with that timeout. I'm sure he'd be very thankful for that one right now.
Absolutely. Augie would love a comeback win in set number 4, down. The largest deficit was where the Cougars are now, 23-19. Now the Vikings 2 in a row. They have it at a 2-point gap. Cougars still just 2 points away from winning the set, though. It'll be a sprint to the finish. Coming out of the timeout, Tom Lamb has the serve. The senior out of Chicago. Lamb drills it over. Cardenas receives. Mosher setting for Stella on the run. Too much on it. Stella frustrated with himself. And suddenly Augie's only down by 1. Lamb received by Gato. Mosher puts it up for Hoffman. And a beautiful shot by Hoffman. Not soft, not hard, but he makes it tough to play for Schaefer by just hanging up there in the air and forcing Schaefer to just panically swing at it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one you need right there. Now just one more to do it.
Ford. It's off the net! And Nguyen can't recover! Alex Ford brought the heat. Nguyen prepped for it. And then you get that luck off the net. And there's no better time for it. We're getting set number 5 in Geisman. We're knotted up at 2 apiece as we head to the break. We'll be back in a minute for set number 5 between the Cougs and the Vikings. And we're back on the Cougar Sports Network for set number 5 between Concordia, Chicago, and Augustana. This is a sprint to the finish. 1st to 15. Both of these squads looking to pick up their first win of the year. Cougars took sets 1 and 4. Augustana 2 and 3 in the middle. Both of these squads will try and close it out with set number 5. And it has been a interesting back and forth of the game. Some very close sets as of late. In set 3, 13 tied scores, 7 lead changes. Last set in the do or die set 4 for Concordia, 10 tied scores, 8 lead changes. Ended up with Cougars coming out on top 25-22. Vikings will have the serve to start. Colin Schaefer back to send it away, the junior from Northbrook. Schaefer sends it up and over. Gato receives. Mosher tracks it down. They'll send it over to Stella. Lawson on the near side, kept up by Cardenas. Mosher looking for Kaminar. The set's out in front. And they're going to give it to the Vikings. It was tipped at the very end by Kaminar after the block. Just panicked a little bit. And Augie strikes first blood. And then they'll send it right back to the Cougars. Schaefer not enough on it. Looked like he was a bit behind the toss. And he sends it into the net for an error. So we're tied up at 1.
Yeah, in set 5, every mistake, every error just magnifies so much more because you know you're just running out of ground, so got to limit those.
Weber, received by Kaminar. Stella on the near side trying to go coast to coast. Alvers for Selewski. Tipped down just out of bounds. Stella holds his head, nearly had the block.
I believe the near side line judge initially called that one in as well, but quickly corrected himself.
2-1 lead for Augie. Ben Georgia back into the game for the first time in a while. He's back to serve. Tosses it up, sends it over, and out of bounds. Just off the near corner. Tied back up at 2. The service errors, they have been a problem for Augie today. They're now at 21. Georgia receives. Schaefer setting for Clark. Kept up by Kaminar. Gadzowski sends it near. Hoffman gets it back over. Schaefer. They'll go to Weber. He just flicks it over. Mosher to Hoffman. Flicked up. Now Schaefer wants Selewski. Blocked by Ford. Cougs up 3-2. Cougars lead by 1. Gadzowski back for the serve. Tosses it up, sends it out of bounds. They'll keep trading service errors. Tied up at 3. Kaminar receives. Mosher setting for Ford. It's kept up by Selewski. Clark running in for it, floating it over. Mosher to Gato. They'll go to Stella. It's blocked and into the pin. Point Cougars. J.R. Stella high stepping his way to the service line. Stella gets it up and over. It's kept up, dug out by Georgia. Selewski on the far side. Gato to Mosher. Up for Hoffman, has to reach back for it. Alvers, he'll go to Selewski again. A floater, and that time he finds the empty space. Stella can't get to it. And we're tied up at 4.
Yeah, neither team really willing to give an inch right now.
Selewski back to serve. gets it over. Kamenar digs it out, but it's into the net. 5-4 lead for Augie. Gato receives Mosher, sets up Hoffman. Georgia, Chisleski, long pass to Clark. Gato keeps it alive. Hoffman flicks it over. Chisleski keeps it up. Schaefer for Clark. Tipped and down. 2-point lead for Augie.
Yeah, if you're the Cougars right now, now is when you really have to silence that momentum. Can't let the deficit get any bigger.
Hoffman receives Mosher. Back set for Stella. They go to Lamb, kept up by Mosher. Gato to Stella. Clark. Shots tipped. Gato to Mosher. Now to Hoffman. Has to go back for it, but he gets it down. A big point for Marcin Hoffman. Brings it back to a 1-point deficit. Michael Cardenas back into the game. He heads back to serve. Up. Over. Ace! Pater in the corner! Cardenas stares down the other side of the court.
Cardenas picking up his third ace of the day. None bigger than that one right there.
That's a high reception. Schaefer sets up Clark, flicks it over. Stella keeps it up. Mosher, long set to Kamenar. Clark again. Blocked! Ford! Cougs lead! 7-6. Cardenas gets it over. Schaefer setting for Clark. Blocked again! Alvers keeps it up. Clark has to pass it over. Cardenas chasing. Mosher. A dump off. Good save by Nguyen. Clark's blocked again. Alvers to Schaefer. Clark trying to go coast to coast. Gato keeps it in. Mosher setting Stella from the back row. Whoa! Off the basketball hoop. Mosher, another dump off. Schaefer to Clark. Blocked again. Schaefer. Why not again to Clark? It's into the pin, and the Cougars get the point.
What a rally right there, Jonathan.
Woo-hoo! And that'll send it to the switch. A marathon for point number 8. Cougars head over to their fans' side. Augie over to theirs. I've seen a lot of stuff go off the roof. Geisman, it's a little bit of a smaller gym. You got some tighter confines. So we've seen a lot of those balls go off the rafters, off the top of the ceiling today. I don't know if I've ever seen a ball go straight off the bottom of the basketball hoop that's pulled up to the ceiling, and the team manages to return it.
Yeah, Jonathan, that's a new one for me. Obviously, we kind of mentioned the banners, the speakers, the ceiling, the lighting, all in play. Typically, if it's going to hit that basketball pole,
it's not going to give you too much of a friendly kick. So for them to get that kind of bounce that brings it back near the kind of field of play and making it a little bit more playable, I mean, that's definitely uncharted waters, I think, today.
Yeah, this right off the bottom of the post and straight back where it came from. A little bit of luck for Augie. Doesn't end up coming through for him after a tough 8th point for Concordia, and the Cougars leading by 2 in a winner-take-all set number 5. We've seen both of these teams go on some runs in this set, though. Right now it's the Cougars with that run. Augie, though, coming out of the break, they'll get a chance to respond. As they head back out onto the court, Cougars have the serve.
Yeah, I think one of those main parts that's really been helping the Cougars so far is kind of bottling up Clark on that play right there, especially. Kind of just so many opportunities he had. You could tell he was almost lost with how many times he was going for on the attack and just couldn't find that kill that he was hoping for.
And you don't see this too often. Augie trying a new face on the court with less than 10 points to go in the match. Grayson Jewell, the senior from Eldridge, Iowa, into the game on the far side. Cardenas drills it over. And here's Jewell. He's blocked, but it's out of bounds. Jewell into the game, and he gets the kill on his first chance. One-point gap. The Vikings trying to make a substitution with their libero, Colin Alvers. There's some confusion on the rotation.
Yeah, I think they might be requesting the double check who should be at the service line right now.
Right now, it's Tom Lamb.
Last thing you want in this situation with so few points left on the table, to lose one due to being out of rotation.
So, scores table and scores table judge have come to their decision. They're trying to indicate who should be at the line. Now they'll reconvene. Dave, you've spent some time down at the scores table. How tough is it to track those rotations throughout the game?
Yeah, it definitely takes more than one individual to kind of keep that going, I would say. That's kind of the benefit of what we have here in Geisman Gymnasium, is such a skilled, kind of experienced crew down there that really is able to keep things all in the right direction, helping out our officials when needed.
And they land on the decision. It's Gavin Mua into the game to serve. Kamenar brings the hammer. They won't say it's tipped. They won't say it's inbounds. The Cougar bench and team livid. But as it's been all night, the judges not going to give the team a single chance to talk to him. Cardenas receives. Cello from the far side. The hot sauce eats up Gavin Mua. 9-8 lead for Concordia. Alex Ford back to serve. Up. Over. Mua receives. Schaefer setting Lawson. And he can't get it over the net. It's into the net and down. Concordia's first to 10. They've got a 2-point lead. Ford on the run. Up. Drills it. Nguyen receives. A floater from Lamb. Cardenas digs it out. Stella off of Lawson's head and out of bounds. Concordia on a run, a 3-point lead, and Coach Ducey wants his last time out. 3 points up, 4 to go for the Cougs. We'll take one last break here on the Cougar Sports Network, and we'll be back in just a minute. We're back on the Cougar Sports Network. Set 5, winner take all. Cougars lead 11-8. They're 4 away from the 15-point marker. Ford, another ace. They won set 4 on it. He jukes out. Tyler Nguyen with a shot into the net again. And I mean, there's some luck that goes into it, but you love to see that happen more than once a game.
Yeah, Alex Ford had that exact same style ace to win set 4.
Alvarez digs that out. Schaefer up for Lamb. He has to track back for it. Mosher to Kamenar. Drills it into the bleachers off of Schaefer. And Concordia continues a tear. It's a 5-0 run. They lead by 5 and are 2 away from winning the match. Ford up, over, Nguyen to Schaefer. Long set for Lawson. Blocked, but it's out of bounds. Lawson put the heat on that one. A much-needed point for Augustana. They got 1 point of breathing room right now. Lamb loses that point. The service errors have been killing Augie all night. And just when they need it the least, Tom Lamb gives them one. And suddenly, Eli Mosher's at the service line with a chance to win it for the Cougs. Match point. Nguyen, poor reception, but Schaefer capitalizes into the net. The points to the Cougars, and Concordia wins. An awkward end to the match. But I don't think today would have seen it any other way, and then that's had multiple sets decided by calls. There's another one. Colin Schaefer just trying to save his team. And it's too little too late. The Cougars come from behind. They win set 5, 15-9. They win the match 3-2 and pick up their first win of the year.
Yeah, everyone just looked so confused at the end of that one right there. It was kind of just like, do we get this point here? Or?
Yeah, the center official clearly signaling a net violation over to the Cougars and then just not signaling the end of the match. And it didn't even look like Augustana was trying to argue the call that much. It just looked like, kind of felt a bit like the judge were a bit like, are we really going to end the game on this? Now, Coach Ducey is having a chat with the officials after the game, but Cougars do end up coming out on top. 3-2. I mean, regardless, you don't want a game to end on a call, even if you do know it's the right call. 3-2. Big win for Concordia. Augustana coming into River Forest, and the Cougars, they survive.
Yeah, Jackson Stella kind of one of those main headline players of today with 15 kills. Got a little wild at times, but overall was kind of that rock we mentioned, a very important player in that success that they had today with that win.
Yeah, and you look at that volume for J.R. Stella. 15 kills, 7 errors. That's on 52 attempts. They're just feeding the beast again and again and again. And Stella getting a productive day out of it. The 154 hitting percentage over on Augie's side. A good day for Alexander Soliski, but kind of starting to, they weren't able to get him involved much in the late sets. He comes out on, he ends up with 13 kills, 3 errors on 29 attempts, 12 kills on the day for Cole Clark. A solid day for the sophomore. And the Cougars, second in kills, Tyler Hollebeck, Eli Mosher, 31 assists on the day and a couple of kills to go with it. And 17 digs, a great defensive day for the setter. You lead the team in assists and in digs. Good day for Eli Mosher. The Cougars, a big win over Augustana, their first win of the year. They're up to 1-2, and they'll move on from here to head to Grand Rapids, Michigan to take on Calvin University in just under a week's time on Friday, January 30th. You'll be able to get caught up on any of the action from this season so far and from tonight on the Cougar Sports Network and at cucougars.com. Augustana, they'll move on from here to continue their tour through the NAC. They go home to host Edgewood this Tuesday on January 27th. But that'll do it from our live coverage of today's game on the Cougar Sports Network. Don't go too far away. We've got our post-game interview with the victorious Concordia Chicago Cougars in just a minute here on the Cougar Sports Network. Hello, Cougar Nation. Welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium. I'm Jonathan Shearer of the Cougar Sports Network, here with the victorious coach Greg Manos after the Cougars men's volleyball team picked up their first win of the year. And, Coach, first off, congratulations on that first win of the year. And it's your first win of the year. How important is it to knock off that sort of check mark right early on in the season?
Yeah, we stacked our season with a high note in terms of making sure we play quality competition to test ourselves to see where we're at, but also recognizing the strengths of our team and getting us ready for a good conference season. So we felt good about our ability to grit through it. The first one is always a nice one, and especially when it's at home. So I'm happy for the guys of being able to pull through, even though we had to make a lot of adjustments and persevere a very long match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned it, tough schedule to start the year, to going through a tour of the CCIW to start out your season. And today, no different to one of those tough matches. Got up early and then kind of fell behind, and it was a bit of a battle back. And you mentioned those adjustments, different faces on the court, different style of play. What are some of those adjustments you guys really made during the game that you think really helped you guys pull out the win?
You know, as the match went on, we needed to find different ways to score and keep that defensive perseverance. So we were happy to see that we were limiting their option in new and different ways as we made some different adjustments, but also just finding guys who are able to score in different ways. So whether it was their strengths or just recognizing what the other side was doing, they were switching a lot as well. So give a lot of kudos to our guys for being to face adversity and battle through it.
Absolutely, and you look at some of those games that had big days today. J.R. Stella, 15 kills on the day, a big day offensively, as you guys were able to work him in there. And then just to shout out Eli Mosher, not only leading the team in assists again, as you said, or leading the team in digs. You kind of mentioned that defensive emphasis as the game went on, a big part of your game. But offensively, you guys looked great today from the get-go in that first set as you adapted that throughout the game. What kind of lessons do you take from the offense today that you want to implement as you go through the season?
You know, that first set in particular, you could find that we followed the scouting report to a T. And it's tough when you're playing teams that have only played one match. They played their first match here yesterday. So we had a really short window between last night and this morning as far as preparation. They took things in, and you could see they were picking them apart piece by piece. You know, the thing about the game, though, is it's a match of chess at some time. So we just had to make sure that that second wave of adjustments was clean. But you could see in the first wave they're listening, they're proactive, and that's a good sign of things going forward for us.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, again, congratulations on a big first win to start off your season. Cougars take down the Augustana Vikings 3-2 in a thriller here in Geisman. Cougars move up to 1-2 on the year, and they'll move on from here to take on Calvin University in Grand Rapids this upcoming Friday in just under a week. You can get caught up on all the action from today and everything that's to come at cucougars.com. Coach, again, thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your win. And thank you for joining us on the Cougar Sports Network. Thank you to everyone who made today's broadcast possible. I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me today was Dave Deimling. And as always, roll Cougs.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.